I remember feeling an intense flow state at festivals, especially pop a couple of mollies and, you're seeing a DJ that everybody's mad into and the whole crowd starts, you go to like a dubstep show, check out Excision or Virtual Riot, Barely Alive, and everyone just starts headbanging together at the same time. Or in a mosh pit. For some reason, Excision shows always have mosh pits. And when you get into a mosh pit flow state, that on Molly, that is next fucking level, dude. That's some intense feelings, bro. I'll never forget.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And so you mentioned that kind of aspect. Also, microdosing can help with this because of the upregulation in brain plasticity, right? Like you're essentially creating an environment for that brain to be even more plastic. On top of that, the flow state is helping with that plasticity. And so it's very, very useful for remodeling your brain, essentially. So like I've utilized microdosing with learning, with motorbike riding, and like from my personal experience, it has been a huge enhancement. It's helped me to develop and enjoy and learn and become a much better rider in a very short period of time. That has allowed me to like really and truly thoroughly enjoy and love doing those things. Like even for me learning, like I mentioned Brilliant at the beginning just quickly, but like the other day I got lost on Brilliant doing a course on machine learning and algorithms. And it was like 3.5 hours and I finished like all of the courses that I was looking to do. And I looked at the time and I was like, what the fuck? What? Where's my day gone? Like, how was I doing that for that long? I just completely got lost in it. And again, it's because like it was a beautiful harmony between my ability and the thing I was learning was just outside of my ability. If that kind of, but because of the way Brilliant's structured, it helps to walk you through. And so you're just progressively increasing. And as you're learning, it's increasing too. So it keeps challenging you. And I find like that's really helpful with the flow state too. That progressive, like as because you're getting that real-time feedback, right? You're sort of learning, but as you're learning, it doesn't stay constant at how hard it is. It keeps getting that little bit more difficult. And that sort of drags you into the flow state, if that kind of makes sense.
That does make sense. I was just thinking that maybe playing video games can be another way people can sort of enter the realm of flow states.
Big time. I think that would definitely be a big thing, especially with the difficulty stuff and the challenge and the immersion and everything else. It definitely is a big flow state vibe. I think it's really important though, to not become asymmetrical with these things. So I think the video game stuff is very cognitive, right? But you want to not just have a cognitive flow state that you get into, you want to have a physical and cognitive flow state that you get into as well. And yeah, I know you're using your fingers and whatever else on the games, but it's not a whole body physical exertion, right? So I think like finding a balance between two, like the heavy cognitive and then the sort of more heavy physical, and then having those two as a balance point, I think that to me, like that's what's really made the biggest difference for me. Because when I was younger, it used to be just mainly physical. I never had the cognitive. And then in my latter years, I've started to develop that cognitive. And that's when things have really taken off.
Bro, it sounds like if you want to harness the flow state, you have to do multiple facets of flow state activities or mental tasks. So let's say one could be video games, right? One could be playing basketball. One could be editing videos. One could be maybe playing a musical instrument. Other one could be motorbiking. And if you have these hobbies that sort of stimulate you in different ways and you're able to achieve flow state in each one, you become better at harnessing flow state over time because you've been exposed to flow state in all these different scenarios, and probably to the point where you can utilize, because there's transferable learning and transferable skills. So when you start taking on a new task or a new hobby, you're able to enter the flow state in that new task or new hobby more efficiently, more effectively. in comparison to someone who only has one static. Would you call it dimensional? No, unidimensional.
Just one dimensional.
Yeah,
Just one
one-dimensional flow
dimensional.
state.
Whereas you want to develop n-dimensional flow state, which is like any number of Okay, so what you just said is really important with that transferable learning too, is that by getting it across different things and across different modalities, and not just cognitive, but the physical aspect as well, the more you do that, you're increasing the complexity, you're remodeling your brain, so to speak. So it actually, and you mentioned the transfer learning, so it actually makes it easier to start learning other things. And then you get into the flow state in that, which levels up your ability, which then makes it easier and improves your ability to learn and take on new challenges. So it's like this steamrolling effect that we can really build what I would call momentum in life, right? And it makes it easier to understand things, learn things, and develop, right? Like you can utilize this to build this huge momentum. It means that things that you previously would have thought were impossible for you to learn are no longer impossible. Skills that you could never imagine developing are now possible. It improves your ability to learn and develop skills and derive enjoyment and satisfaction from things. I think it is so important. And you mentioned it, it's hobbies and passions, guy. That's exactly what it is. You've got to have this through your hobbies and passions. Learn to cultivate the flow state with things that you love. But most importantly, make sure that those things that you love you back. That's a mad important thing. So don't just like trick yourself into doing stuff that you love that doesn't love you back, that takes from you, right? Learn to love things that give back to you. And that's a powerful thing. Is it like if you get into a flow state doing something, that's a form of loving you back. That flow state is a form of loving you back. It's helping your brain to rewire, remodel, and to develop. And it increases your ability to handle adversity, handle challenge, handle uncertainty, the unknown, right? And learn, grow, and develop on top of it. It's fucking cool shit.